Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. That is Emily Dickinson. Welcome, everyone. We'll say our invocation to start our service. Be with us today, Spirit, as we come together in this sacred space to share our love with each other. We ask for our guides, angels, and ancestors to gather close to us so that we may feel and know their presence, love, and support. We ask for the higher master teachers to grant us wisdom and insight, and we call you all in using the prayer that the Master Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be here with you all. We're so glad that you're here. And for those of you who don't know me, I think you all do, I'm Reverend Rose. It's always my pleasure to get to serve at the church that I helped to start. All this madness many years ago in 2001, maybe? It's been 2001? I don't know. My memory anymore is really bad anyway, so if Laura says it's 2000, I believe her. Well, I woke up this morning to bird song. I remember waking up once when I was not a little kid, I was probably a teenager. And I remember waking up and there was this bird outside my window just squawking its head off. And I remember waking up and it was so annoying. And I remember saying, "Oh my God, shut up, bird." And then I felt bad because I told the bird to shut up. So anytime I hear a bird singing in the morning, that's what I think of. And I try to remind myself that the bird is singing because that's its natural instinct to sing. And it's not such a bad thing to have your natural instinct to sing. So I woke up to that this morning. Even though it was pouring down rain, there was a bird right outside our bedroom window just happily singing away. And as I woke up, I remembered that I was waking up from a dream where I was giving messages in the dream. And I was giving messages with Reverend Jacqueline Francina, who was one of the ministers who would work here sometimes and who had a house in Lilydale. And if you were here last week, you got to see Reverend Jacqueline's daughter, Reverend Joanne Francina, on the platform. So she was in my dream last night. So I know that Reverend Jackie is here with me today, and she's here with all of you today. So lying in bed, listening to that very insistent bird, I started to feel hopeful. I started to feel excited and happy to be alive, which is not usually how I feel right after I've woken up, I must say. I did find myself ready to get up and get out of bed and go on with my day. Again, not a normal feeling for me. And I was looking forward to church. And I was looking forward to volunteering at the theater where I'm working this afternoon. And so it felt good to get out of bed. And it was kind of gave me pause to think, it feels good to get out of bed. This is an odd feeling. I don't usually do this in the morning. Like a lot of people that I know, I've recently been avoiding a lot of things like the news and social media because I'm afraid to get sucked into the negative things that are happening. And I don't like to bury my head in the sand. I refuse to do that. But I have limited my exposure to media because I simply don't want to get bogged down in that energy of fear and unhappiness and anger and frustration. And I want to try and live the best life that I can in the time that I have, in the moments that we have every day, and try to appreciate that in the moments every day. And when I heard that bird this morning, I felt like that was another message for me. I was giving messages in my sleep. I was giving messages from Reverend Jacqueline. And I was hearing this bird that felt like it had been sort of put on my porch for a reason. It felt like Spirit was calling to me and saying, get up, get busy, get out there, and deliver a happier message. Do your job. And that's my job today. So here I am doing my job. If you haven't noticed yet, I write my sermons in the morning before I come to church. I don't write them before, because sometimes this will happen. Like, I'll have written an entire sermon or decided on all the stuff I wanted to talk about, and then something will happen and Spirit will go, no, you need to write about this, or you need to talk about this. So lucky you. This is your message for today, as I am here doing my job. And it's one that I'm happy and honored and humbled to do. So thanks for letting me do it. It's March 16th. Astrologically, we're still in this very intense lunar eclipse cycle. And Mercury stationed retrograde yesterday. And everyone runs screaming into the night when it's Mercury retrograde, and sometimes for good reason. But I'd like to remind you that Mercury retrograde is not a time to run screaming into the night. It's a time for turning inward. It's a time to reevaluate. It's a time to meditate and reflect. It is not a time to sign contracts. It's not a time to buy big purchase items. Mostly because if you do that, you might end up unhappy once Mercury stations direct, because Mercury controls communication and controls the way that we communicate things. And so sometimes there might be something in that contract that you signed that you go, ooh, I probably shouldn't have went for that. Or it also controls and influences things that are mechanical and computer things and all of those things. So if you buy something large, like a big ticket item during Mercury retrograde, you might regret that. Although I will say, just as a side note, I did buy a house during Mercury retrograde. I signed all the papers during Mercury retrograde. You just have to be really, really careful. You have to read everything really, really carefully. And you have to make sure all of your T's are crossed and all of your I's are dotted. So you can still do these things during a Mercury retrograde. It's just nice to be aware that the energy that's around you is not the best for communication, for transportation, for those types of interactions. But if you set an intention to do that better, then you will do that better. And we have spring equinox coming, yay, which is coming on March 20th. And that's this coming Thursday. And so we're being invited at this time by the universe, by what is around us, the energy around us, to plant some new seeds, to rejoice in the turning of the wheel towards more light, more warmth, more energizing activities. So to me, this is an inspiration to put more positive energy out into the world that so sorely needs it right now. So, for the sermon today, I thought I would share some good news with you. When I got up this morning, I went out on the internet and I purposefully went and typed into Google, tell me some good news. And I found some very fun stories, so I want to share a few of those with you. So, the first story that came up for me, and I decided to share it because I thought it was very inspirational, is this one that says, 20 years ago, I'm sorry, not 20 years ago, well, 20 years ago it did happen, but 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, another rebuilding effort is underway in New Orleans. The Big Brothers Big Sisters mentorship organization is relaunching in New Orleans for the first time since they were forced to close in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. And in an encouraging development, there seems to be an emerging interest in people willing to volunteer. New data from Big Brothers Big Sisters shows that there is a 7% increase in Black males who are volunteering, which is a critical demographic for that organization. Nationally, the program serves approximately 400,000 kids, with about 55% of them living below the poverty line. But there are 30,000 children on the waiting list across the country, so volunteers are needed. After Hurricane Katrina, the organization struggled to maintain its staff, and the volunteers, with the turmoil affecting the city, they eventually had to close their doors. So they are able now to reopen them. And I think it said in the story, I didn't print out this part of the story, it said that they already have like 13, this was just printed, like, I think this is from the 13th. So the 13th, so today's the 16th. They already had like 15 or 16 children that wanted to be a part of the organization and wanted mentors matched with them. If you're not familiar with Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's a mentor matching organization. So a child will enroll in the program and they will be matched with a mentor that wants to do things with them, help them with their homework, or take them places, or just hang out with them. And so it's a really great program for kids who might not have access to positive influences in their lives, and especially positive male influences, but also female influences as well. So if you're interested, you can volunteer on the Big Brothers Big Sisters website. That's just a hack, that's just a, an extra thing you could do. But I thought that was a lovely thing to know, and good for things down in New Orleans, because Katrina was a horrible disaster, and they're still recovering from that in places. So, speaking of horrible disasters, this is a bad segue probably, but another story I found today was that in a recorded video this week, Steve Carell, who is a very well-known actor, you probably know him best from The Office, the American version of The Office that was on for many years, and he played Michael Scott on that show, the person who ran The Office so well. But Steve Carell dropped in on several high schools around Los Angeles to give the seniors a special announcement. And as you know, Los Angeles is one of the places most affected by the horrible wildfires that happened about a month ago. And that is going to take a long time for rebuilding. And although the students probably thought it was a prank or an AI-generated video, they were wrong. Because the announcement that he had to make was that all the seniors' prom tickets had been paid for by a nonprofit that he supported. And he was happy to oblige doing that in the video. So even though the Eynden fire, which is, I think, the name of one of the suburbs or one of the counties that Los Angeles is in, burned 14,000 acres of towns and hillsides, it left all 6 of the schools standing while all of the homes were gone. So at least some kids still had the school to go to, which provides a little stability in the wake of a tragedy. But 3,000 miles away in Virginia, there is a program called Alice's Kids, who work anonymously to provide low-income or disadvantaged children something that they need. And in this case, it was determined that along with taking away the burden on families or affording, a very expensive prom ticket, what they needed more than anything was a good time. So Steve Carell said in the video, "I work with a wonderful charity based in Virginia, and Alice's Kids wants me to let you know that they'll be paying for all of your prom tickets." The prom is a party, and more than anything, these kids need a party. They need something that's uplifting. So, Alice's Kids is donating $175,000 for 800 students to go to prom. And one of the principals of one of the schools that was affected, the principal of Marshall Fundamental Secondary School, said, "This brought so much joy this morning to our students, and that's something that our students have really been missing." So what a happy story. I mean, I went to prom. It wasn't, it was fine. It was, but most kids they look forward to prom. They look forward to that moment in their probably their junior or senior year, where they do something really interesting, like dress up and go to prom and have a good time with their friends. So I just thought that was a lovely story, and yay for Steve Carell. Here's some other good news, which I loved this particular story. Introducing the first new class of pain medicine approved in the United States by the Food and Drug Administration in more than 2 decades. Pain medicine in more than 2 decades. The FDA has approved the first drug in its class that targets moderate to severe acute pain in adults without being addictive like opioids, which have been the standard of care in painkillers for 20 years. And if any of you are familiar with I'm sure people have heard in the background, the opioid crisis, it's bad. The opioid crisis was bad, and it still continues to be bad. And unfortunately, one of the reasons that the opioid crisis occurred was because the manufacturer of those drugs didn't talk about that there were addictive qualities to those drugs. And so doctors were handing those drugs out left and right, and unfortunately a lot of people became addicted to those drugs because they were addictive, and the doctors didn't know it because it was approved. So this particular manufacturer, Boston-based Vertex Pharmaceuticals, is set to sell the twice-daily pills per dose under the name of Journavx. I love drugs names, don't you? You see the commercials while you're watching TV and go, "That's an interesting name for a drug." This one is called Journavx. This analgesic is a kind of pain reliever, works by targeting a pain signaling pathway involving sodium channels in the peripheral nervous system before pain signals reach the brain. I had no idea you could do that, but hey, apparently it works. So FDA spokesperson Jacqueline Corrigan-Curry, who is a medical doctor, said today's approval is an important health milestone in acute pain management. It provides patients with another treatment option. Then they talk about how it was determined that it was done that way. So this gives a lot of people another opportunity to combat moderate to severe pain. They did the trials around surgical pain. So after somebody had surgery, how much pain were they in? And sometimes I know for me, I was just in the hospital, they gave me morphine. Boy, woo, that was fun. Even though it was kind of fun at the time, and it helped a lot with the pain, morphine is addictive. So if you take morphine on a regular basis, you're going to become addicted to it. So having a non-addictive drug to help with severe pain, that's a real plus. So yay for these people from all these doctors, and I don't know who all does this stuff, but I'm happy because I know a lot of people who have chronic pain and it's severe. So maybe this will be helpful to them. Let's hope so. So I have one final story to make you smile today. This story starts with, can you remember the day, perhaps the moment, you met the person who would become your spouse? So, this is a love story. For an unnamed Chinese woman, it's a day extremely difficult to forget because she probably thought it would be her last. While crossing the street on an electric bicycle, this 23-year-old woman looked over and saw a car flying toward her at an uncontrollable speed. The driver, whose surname was Lee, that's the only identifying information they give in the story, was driving fast through the streets of the Hunan province because he had an emergency. And so he was flying through the streets and he hit the lady on the bike. The impact broke her collarbone, and he got out of the car and rushed over to apologize and call an ambulance. And he received a really surprising reply from his victim, and she said, "No worries." So Lee said that she seemed to be a very kind, very understanding person. The parents of this young lady didn't press charges against Lee, and tried to absolve him of his guilt, but of course he still felt guilty. So he started visiting her every day while she was in the hospital, so that and to see if she had stuff she needed. And so of course they became friends, and they became closer during this time that she was in the hospital. So 3 weeks after the collision, the young woman confessed her love to the man who had practically killed her. And at first, Mr. Lee, who was 36 years old to her 23 years old, said, "Oh, no, I'm too old. You need to find somebody your own age." Eventually, they stayed in touch, and eventually he succumbed and went out to a movie with her. And this progressed, and they were married in February, I think, of the next year after this accident. I don't know when the accident was. But Lee said marriage was not in his life plan before he met her, and he thanked his wife for her bravery in putting up with him and his crazy driving, apparently. They moved in with her parents, who lived close to his work. And there's something called a bride price in Chinese custom, where it's like a dowry, where the parents of the bride give something of value to the parents, to the groom, sort of as a payment for taking her off their hands. So there are some traditions that do still continue, probably with not that much stigma attached to them. But so the parents refused to take that bride price, I guess, from him, or maybe I guess the husband pays the bride price because they refused to take it from him. But they knew that would put him in debt, and so they actually gave him money to invest in his business, whatever his business is. This cracks me up. It was the 6th such road incident the man was involved in. So clearly, Mr. Lee is probably not the best driver on the face of the planet, but since striking his wife on that fateful day, it hasn't happened again. So he hasn't had any more bad accidents or accidents at all. So that's a good thing too. So this lovely couple got married and started a family and found something good in being hit by a car. That's amazing to me. So those are the stories I wanted to share with you this morning. There is still a lot of stuff happening around us that is good. That little bird this morning reminded me to keep looking for it. So may we all find inspiration that propels us forward to better thoughts, better actions, and better times. So now we're going to have a little meditation. So I would invite you to be comfortable in your chair. And just take a moment to relax into your chair, into the seat. And focus on your breathing. Just bring your focus to that breath in and breath out. Breath in and breath out. Breath in and breath out. And as your body continues to breathe in and breathe out, allow your own focus to move down to your feet. And imagine from your feet roots sprouting that move down into the earth, like the roots on a tree or a flower. And those roots dig down deep into the soil of the earth, grounding you into Mother Earth. And as you take your next breath, you can breathe up into yourself that beautiful, steady, strong, grounded earth energy. And allow it to flow through your whole being. And then bring your attention up into your heart center, into the center of your chest, your heart chakra. And as you breathe into your heart chakra, imagine that energy of your heart chakra expanding with love. And as you breathe in even more of that divine love that is always within you, that is always there in reserve for any time you need it. And allow that inner love to disseminate out through your whole being as you continue breathing. And now bring your attention up to the top of your head, to your crown chakra. And as you breathe in through your crown chakra, see beautiful white light flowing down into your crown chakra. The light of the universe, the light of the divine. The light that is always there to replenish us anytime we need it. And breathe in that divine light and let it flow into your entire being. With these three beautiful energies combined in your body, say to yourself, I am grounded, I am centered, and I am connected. And know that it is so. And so with all of these beautiful energies within you, breathe in again. And as you breathe out, let those energies expand outside your physical body, creating a bubble of light and energy around your physical self. as you breathe in and breathe out again, that bubble gets larger. All around you, above your head, below your feet, on every side of you, that bubble expands. And it keeps expanding with every breath in and breath out that you take, encompassing the environment around you, the people around you, all of the energies around you. And those energies are instantly transformed when enveloped in this beautiful energy. And as you stand in this beautiful energy, see all of your guides and your teachers, your angels, your loved ones who have passed over, all of the ancient ancestors, all gathering around you in this beautiful light. And along with the divine energy that you've created within yourself from the earth and from the internal energy and from the divine of the universe, they lend their energy to yours, to support you, to love you, to guide you. Feel what it feels like to be in that energy, safe and secure and divine. And so take one last breath in and breath out, knowing that this energy will continue to be in and around you as you go about your day. And so bring your awareness back to the chair that you're sitting on, back to your physical self, your physical body, back to your ground your feet on the floor, back in this time and this place. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, wide awake and relaxed, wide awake and at peace.